All right, what is up? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. We got another one coming for you today. Today we're reacting to why your childhood cartoons keep getting rebooted. I'm excited for this. Let's see what they got going for us. We're not gonna waste any time. Let's go.
Did you know there's a new Powerpuff Girls with the original creator? And
Wait,
Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends? I remember
They're
that.
getting rebooted?
Whoa, they brought back Rugrats too? I remember that.
I did know they
Avatar
brought
has
back
a whole studio making movies and TV
Rugrats.
shows? Sweet, I remember that. And SpongeBob, I remember that even though it never ended. And Total Drama. Twice.
I am excited about this
and
Avatar
Beavis and
movie.
Butthead. I remember that. And Johnny Test. And Spider-Man.
God damn, they
And
did.
Duncan. Are they still doing Red?
Wait, some of these are still coming out?
I remember that. Give in to nostalgia. I know a lot of time you just hear my disembodied voice talking into a void, but I'm a real human being, and I gotta take care of my beautiful, real human face. Which is why I'm glad the homies at Geology sent me incredible skincare
Alright,
products that have
Let's skip through this.
revolutionized my daily routine.
Here we go.
Up to 50% properties
here we
has
go.
become the norm, especially for animation. And it's gotten to a point where you
Animaniacs?
can't really ignore it. It feels
Okay.
like most animated projects nowadays, at least the ones that garner the most attention, are some new version of a beloved series people grew up with. Whether it be from the 80s, 90s, 2000s, or even 2010s. Whether if it's a reimagining that builds a new world from the ground up, a continuation that's business as usual.
Totally Spies, I remember that one. My sister used to really like that show. And so, like, of all things, when you're a little kid, whatever your little sister wants to watch, you're kind of forced into watching it also.
Product that's somewhere in between. With this practice now being commonplace, it's kind of interesting to witness the polarizing reactions on the internet. It seems like the majority now
Simpsons.
treats
I
any
love The
return as a
Simpsons.
monkey's paw. Which is ironic, because in the 2010s, it felt like everyone was begging for networks to bring back the old shows. Our childhood was better.
Kids these days don't know what they're missing out on.
The typical nostalgia spiel. Yeah, how'd that work out for ya? But love it or hate it, reboots and revivals aren't gonna slow down.
Thomas
It's
the
only
Train
gonna
was
get
rough
bigger
for
from
me.
here.
I had a
And
cousin
the
who
truth
really
is,
liked
the
it growing
problem
up.
has nothing to do
And
with creative
I
bankruptcy.
couldn't
It's all about
stand it.
competition and operating like a business. Why does your childhood keep getting rebooted? I'm gonna break down why. Let's keep it a buck and start with the obvious answer. Alright, well, besides that,
Money.
attention over everything. Back in the day, a network could rely on good marketing to get everyone hyped up for a new show. But in an era of streaming where everyone hates watching ads, it's not so easy to pull off. Especially if animation. Reboots, however, are a different story. Always have been. Even as a kid, I'd notice when an old show got a makeover and presented itself as something new. The countless Scooby-Doo reboots
There
that
were
stood out from
so many
Thundercats
Scooby-Doos.
getting the Avatar treatment, Looney Tunes going for a few iterations. There was an appeal because it's familiar. I didn't
When I was
even
little, the
watch
baby
the
Looney
OG
Tunes weren't
Thundercats
too
growing
bad.
up, but because there'd be references to it here and there in pop culture, I wanted to check out the 2011 series. And then it died a horrible death. Still, having notoriety to your brand will get you way more attention than being the new kid on the block. Attention
True.
is currency, and that's why even bad publicity is good publicity. The Powerpuff Girls and Ben 10 reboots were torn to shreds by the internet, but
I didn't even
because
know
of
they
that
rebooted
heat, they got
both of
way
those.
more exposure than they would have as an original show. And hey, views don't lie. Just observing individual clips, it seems like kids had way more eyes on these reboots than some of the other shows around at the time. Though, at least for Powerpuff, you can tell Cartoon Network genuinely wanted it to be a success for the new generation, given how hard they went with the marketing back in the day. The reboot itself was just mid. I don't think it was given the resources or time it deserved to be a good show. But now, reboots and
tough.
new entries in the franchise are more than just a quick buck. They're entire attractions to a streaming service. Companies have to put their best foot forward to convince consumers that those spare $15 in their pocket should go here instead of there. And what better way to do that than to flaunt someone's childhood memories for a new audience? When most people see Paramount Plus, they think about the new iCarly seasons, or the highly shat on Nickelodeon reboots. Hell, once Avatar Studio rolls out, I think Paramount will see a surge of subscriptions solely for new animated Avatar goodness. One of the early heavy hitters for HBO Max was Adventure Time.
I might have to get it once all that comes out.
And although Close Enough was an original property, RIP, a lot of interest in it came from the idea that it be adult regular show. Hell, Disney Plus has always operated off this line of thinking. When it launched, sure, there was a lot of hype for the MCU shows, but people were really eager to get their hands on the final season of Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
So good.
The
so
Proud
good.
Family,
All
Louder and Prouder, is one of the few non-Marvel, non-Star Wars shows that they're giving a big push. And even now, one of their most highly anticipated shows is X-Men 97. Funny enough, Disney has also shown why this is easier to pull off with animation than live action. The medium of animation allows franchises to either pick things up where they left off in a near seamless fashion, or start over with a fresh interpretation. However, no one's gonna go crazy for the cheaper by the dozen remake, and creating new live action stories in the Star Wars universe with the same characters in their relatively same ages, with actors who are of course decades older than they were when they first played those characters, has led to a lot of viewers criticizing the uncanny valley effect that goes into trying to keep these characters the same age that they were back in the 80s or 2000s. And they're clearly afraid to recast, partly because they don't want to scare people off with new actors. For a myriad of reasons, rebooting a live-action television series can be arguably way more challenging to pull off than rebooting an animated series. Movies are easier to pull off, but I mean, people hate most Hollywood reboots anyways. When it comes to cartoons though, I think there's a reason you only see certain shows get rebooted. After all, despite Powerpuff Girls and Foster's having new shows in development, the studio flat out rejected ideas like Galacticus Next Door or Billy and Mandy Destroy Us All, with the dumb reasoning,
kids today won't know who those characters are.
As if that wouldn't apply to the other shows you're rebooting from the exact same era of Cartoon Network. Why do some classics pass the vibe check while others don't? Well, it's not just about the shows themselves.
Merchandise.
I don't think it's a big secret that merch can be a huge source of income.
These are horrible.
There's a reason why every other YouTuber you watch tends to have a big push with merch every so often. Please check out our dope cartoon-inspired designs at Toondrip, by the way. But this especially rings true with corporations. We all know Marvel characters get a new suit every movie so they can sell Funko Pops off of it. But do you know why Teen Titans Go is on its 7th season with a spin-off on the way? Because it's making millions in toys, tees, and DVDs. That's not even counting the movies. The Ben 10 franchise is worth over $7 billion. That reboot everyone was dunking on didn't do crazy numbers in viewership, but its existence was keeping the lights on at Cartoon Network, thanks to the toys. And that's why Ben 10 is inevitably gonna be
insane that they're able to make that much money just off of like the merch. That's something you would never think about.
Because they got money to make. At a net worth of $2.5 billion, the Powerpuff Girls has always sold well, which is why it got an anime, 2 reboots, and a CW show that refuses to die. But why would it? Not only can they still sell merch to kids, but once that CW show is out, you can bet Spirit Halloween will be littered with officially licensed Blossom, Bubbles, and Buttercup costumes for college girls to rock at parties. The show premiered in '98, and not even 2 years later, it was projected to make $300 million in merch. By 2002, it made nearly $1 billion. I can't find how much money Foster's made, but between Cartoon Network shoving cheese down our throats and the fact they had a Macy's Day Parade float where Foster's Rick-rolled America, I'm guessing it was pretty profitable. He-Man and She-Ra were conceptualized to be toyetic franchises. So of course, they've gotten numerous reboots over the years and will probably continue to do so. If there's plenty of opportunities for merch and it's a proven moneymaker, it's not gonna stay dead for long. It's unfortunate as these projects take slots that could have gone to new ideas. But until something changes, it is what it is. Entertainment is a business after all. And the big shots operate off of working smarter, not harder. Which goes into the last point I want to make. Yeah, it's just easier to go with something that's already
Is that
proven itself to
Caillou?
be a smash hit than it is to roll the dice on an original idea. You already have a cast of characters to pull from, a pre-established
Why does
world
it
for said
look
characters
so
to adventure in,
strange?
and lore for the writers
Some of
to
these look really
revisit and
strange.
even expand upon in new ways. Don't get me wrong, a lot of work still goes into a reboot. Figuring out the art direction, casting, setting itself apart from the original series, and a slew of other tasks that would exist in any other production. Not to mention, reboots tend to have way more cooks in the kitchen. Execs want to be a lot more hands-on because of a show's esteemed legacy. To them, these ain't just cartoons they're making. These are billion-dollar properties that, ideally, will help keep them afloat for a few years. Now, of course, I think the main problem people like you and I have with these reboots is that as more teenagers and kids stop watching TV in favor of streaming, YouTube, and Twitch, the more these reboots tend to cater to younger and younger audiences. Really young children whose parents just stuck them in front of the TV, or an iPad with YouTube Kids. Again, those reboot clips don't get millions of views for nothing. Like I was turned when I heard back Craigie's bringing back Foster's. Until I read it was a preschool reboot. Not saying it's gonna be bad, but even with nostalgic value, it's just not gonna be for me. And that's okay. Not every reboot is gonna knock it out of the park with things that old and new fans can enjoy, like DuckTales or Thundercats. Some are just gonna be goofy little tunes to pave the way for merch. And I'm not gonna say that's a good thing, but it's putting food on a lot of people's tables. Creatives who work in animation for a living,
that Magic
just
School
trying
Bus
to
remake?
survive in this
They
crazy game we
remade that?
call life. Reboots,
There's so many reboots that I don't even know
always
about.
respect you. In fact, I fear most of you. But your existence paves the way for some original ideas to be funded in the first place.
That's
So,
insane.
I guess you're not all bad. But thank God Antonucci owns the creative rights to
hey.
Etta and Eddie. Can't reboot that shit if you tried. Thanks for watching the video. I always love doing little dives like this into the industry. And with the Powerpuff Girls and Fosters coming back, I knew I had to make a video
Dexter's
and
Laboratory
say
was so good
something.
also.
So I hope you learned a thing or two. As always, if you enjoyed, please throw it a like, subscribe to the channel,
Alright,
leave
that was
a
pretty
comment,
good. I
give
enjoyed
me a
that.
follow
I hope
on
you guys
Twitter.
enjoyed that. That's all for that. Why your childhood cartoons keep getting rebooted. It's all because of money at the end of the day. But that was good. You guys let me know which ones were your favorites. That's all for that. I'll see you guys in the next one.